What's going on, guys? TA Tech here. Welcome back to another podcast. We are welcomed here today by my good friend Michael Pepper. How you doing, man? What's going on?
Oh, not much. I just realized that I looked like I had a giant head because of this lens that I'm using. So,
I was gonna say something, but I'm like, bruh, either you're like
well, it's
this
also
close.
the we're also in portrait where when I look up here at my camera it looks normal, so it's like cropping in on us to do this
Oh,
thing. So, and it's already cropped in.
man. So, what's been going on? What have you been up to?
Oh, just I reviewed a lot of cases. Um kind of reviewed my last one of those last week. No,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And so now I have like iPad keyboard cases to cover and devices to cover. And I want to touch on some like accessory things that I've had for a while, like my keyboard and mouse that I've used for a couple years now.
Right.
Um, touch on things like how my experience was sending in my AirPods Max to Apple to have them replace the battery.
Oh, okay.
How it's substantially cheaper to do that than buying a new pair, and there's really no point in buying a new pair considering the new ones, the only difference is USB-C. They claim that there's supposed to be some like audio thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that's most likely the software because when they sent them back, it also had the newest firmware on it, which is
Mm-hmm.
weird because I always, I thought they were updated. That's one thing. They need to make a dedicated app for updating AirPods,
Yes, I've said this many, many times.
or at least when you're connected in the settings, have like a button where you hit and it checks for the update, lets you know if there's an update, and you can push it. Because
Yep.
here's the people I think that would be great for. There are lots of people out there, and that buy iPhones that live in areas where their only connection is like cellular,
Mm-hmm.
but they might have limited. And then when they're at home and Wi-Fi is when they do all their updates. Well, you have to like plug in the AirPods and then just have them connected to your phone via Bluetooth and then just wait.
Yeah.
And it might do it right away. It might take overnight. Who knows? There's no. And these updates are so small, so you can't be telling me that like Apple is doing this so that it's not hitting their servers because these
Exactly.
updates are tiny. They're like megabytes.
Exactly. Right.
So just let us do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, if we can do it with software updates, why can't we do it with firmware updates? I mean,
I mean, our
yeah,
watches, you can push them. Every other Apple product.
I honestly think that uh, iOS 18 should have had that. Speaking of iOS 18, though, how is it so far for you?
It's been good. I mean, there's been some weird glitches with the betas, like
You're on
the
the.
yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't
like
know.
the camera control had this weird thing where it just said camera underscore control underscore button in settings. Like
Hmm?
in the when you went into accessibility to like where you could customize the like the delay or whatever for the
Oh,
button,
yep.
which is funny because they don't want you to call it a button, but right in the settings it called it camera control button.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, it's a button, but it's also capacitive, so it's a physical button, but it's
Right.
also kind of not. So it acts like a physical button, but it also kind of acts like the Touch ID when they made it not where it didn't move, or like the haptic trackpad where
Yeah.
you can kind of gesture on it and then there's feedback. Or it also reminds me of the haptics in like the AirPods Max, where when you're scrolling the crown and you get that little bit of there's actually a physical ticking sound, but there's also like a feel to it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when using the camera control button, when you are zooming in and out, when you hit at like 1x, 2x, 5x, like the standard points,
Yeah.
it has a certain haptics to it. And then when you're scrolling, it's like softer in between. And then when you hit those points, so you could be theoretically one of the one of the benefits, like I appreciate the button. I get that people are like, why are they adding buttons? Is
Mhm.
for people. I mean, I know this might sound funny, but what if you're visually impaired and people are like, are they going to be taking photos? It's like, yes, there's actually soft there will actually like direct you. Um and Google did that with the Pixel too. Like there's an accessibility
Yeah.
thing where it'll tell you like when you're lined up with a person. But like the fact that you can use it and then zoom in and out, or if you're taking like a selfie and you can like know that you're at those certain points,
Hmm.
or like they just added with the most recent beta. Oh, I guess I should say technically not the most recent because beta 3 just dropped yesterday. Um,
Oh, yeah.
18.2 beta 3 yesterday, but with 18.2 beta 2 they added where you can use it to do auto exposure and autofocus lock, which
Yeah.
is great. But I also need them to it to just like not not the lock, but just autofocus in general. Like I should be able to hit it and have it focus, not lock the focus where it is.
Hmm.
And then the other thing I feel like is kind of a difficult thing to do is I guess you could combine buttons to do it, but you if you're in photo mode and you want to take a video, I guess you can press and hold it
Right.
and it will take a video. But if you're in video mode and you want to take a photo, like you still have to do stuff on screen.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like they could do like a combination where like you when you're in the camera, like have something where you can like hit the action button and then if you hold down the action button and then you use it, it lets you toggle between panorama, photo, video, cinematic, like all the different modes would be
Hmm.
pretty sick. And they could easily do that and basically
Oh,
get
yeah.
rid of anything on screen. Now, obviously, to change like aspect ratios and some of the other stuff would just, there'd be too much.
I mean, you have what phone again? This, you have the 15 or 16?
Yes,
Yes.
I have both the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max.
I should have known. When you said yes, I was like, wait, you have
And
both?
not because I wanted to, but because
Oh,
Spectrum
okay.
Mobile basically. So we were on T-Mobile,
Hmm.
and then we have Spectrum Mobile for internet, and then they had this like whole thing with TV, and then I was like, I'm just gonna try them out because it was like $30 a month, and you get like 30 gigs of data or whatever. It's
Yeah.
only like 5 gigs a hotspot, but like whatever. I just wanted to test them out. I know they use like Verizon towers. If you're out and about, there's like free hotspots you can connect to
Hmm.
and stuff like that.
So, for,
And I was on there, but I paid the $10 more a month to do their anytime upgrade thing.
right.
And so originally I had the Pixel Fold,
Okay.
and and then a Z Fold. And then wife and I basically what we did was when we sold our she had a 14 Pro Max, I had the 15 Pro. We
Mhm.
sold those and then we moved over to Spectrum and I traded in the Z Fold 5 and the Pixel Fold to two 15 Pro Maxes on the anytime upgrade thing.
Yep.
Like two, let's see, mine was like 3 months before the release and hers was like a month or so, but she doesn't really upgrade that often. As you can
Right.
tell, I mean, she had the 14 Pro Max. Um, Usually we upgraded every year when you could go take it to Best Buy, trade it in, pay like $100 and upgrade. That's what we were doing and getting an unlocked device every time. But when I went to do the trade in this time, Spectrum's system was messed up and they couldn't figure out why. So I had cases and I had videos I needed to get done.
Hmm.
So we stopped at Verizon, and yes, Verizon is not cheap, but
Right.
I mean they had one in stock, and I have
Oh,
unlimited data, and like was it 30 gigs of hotspot,
oh,
um,
shit.
and
Okay.
then I also
Uh-oh.
have two iPads.
What?
I have the iPad
Oh,
Pro, and then
okay.
Best Buy had a deal where you could get the iPad Air,
Oh, okay.
13 inch for
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
$150 off. So essentially, I got the cellular model for the same price as just the so 799.
Right.
So it's like $22.16 a month. And then with the plan I have on Verizon, I can get unlimited data. They have two different plans, $10 or $15 a month. The only difference is like you get 15 gigs or 30 gigs of hotspot, which reminds me, I need to go drop my plan down and just save $5 a month. Because what do I care? Why? I'm not gonna hotspot to an iPad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because the thing is, if I really theoretic on the plan that I'm on,
Hmm.
the other thing is like let's say our internet was down and I knew it was going to be out for a while, or we were like camping and I knew I needed to use a lot of hotspot. I can go add 100 gigs of hotspot for $10.
So for context, we're recording this on a Tuesday. This will be up on Saturday. But I wanted to ask you, um, did you hear about the problems that T-Mobile was having?
You mean getting hacked for like the 15th time or
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I just saw that T-Mobile was, I think it was T-Mobile that had an issue and they went down today.
there was also things where the one reason that we were looking to leave and that annoyed me is so we joined them way back when Magenta Max first started. This was like 5, 6 years ago, maybe longer.
Oh
I think it's been
wow.
about 5, 6 years. And they had it where like, oh yeah, you could do the whole upgrade thing. But then last year they added the whole Go 5G, Go 5G Plus, Go 5G Next, and you have to add the Plus or the Next plan
Right.
to do that. So, and literally the only difference between the Magenta Max and like the Go 5G Plus,
Hmm.
besides it being like more per month, was you got it was like 50 gigs of premium data versus 40 before they may slow you or hotspot. That's what it
Yeah.
was. You got 10 gigs more hotspot. But
Right.
you also paid like somewhere depending on how it went, $5 or $10 more a month per line.
Hmm.
And then that's the plan you had to have to then be able to do like trade-ins and stuff. So
Exactly.
then if you're thinking about it, you're like, okay, so I'm gonna get this so-called free iPhone or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
But then you have to really like deduct $10 from the amount that they're kind of giving you on trade-in per month because it costs that much more to be on that plan. And then what's to say in like another 2 years when all those people that signed up in their 24 months would be ending when they're going to go trade in like their iPhone 16 to get an 18, that
Hmm.
they don't introduce some other plan that then gets rid of the Go 5G, Go Plus Next plans,
Right.
basically the FU plan or whatever they're going to call like
Seriously, seriously,
the
bro.
T-Mobile 6G Go Next. We
That's why.
screwed you. We lied because literally in the contract with Magenta Max, they guaranteed that like the price would never go up,
Yeah.
and you would always have unlimited data, and you would always have the best trade-ins.
Right.
And I think so many people signed up, like our price didn't really go up.
Right.
But yeah, I ended up then getting I have those on there. And eventually, what's going to happen is I don't know if I'll do it with tax season or what, save up and just pay off my phone from them. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, though, before all of that, it's not just our phones, but we have two Apple Watch Ultras on there. So we'd have to have like $4,000 to pay them. So
Yeah, man.
she'll
Everybody.
stay on. I mean, I'll probably just drop though. I'm thinking though, what I might do is if I can get it figured out, the anytime upgrade thing, figure out what they've kind of messed up. One of the things we wanted to talk about is the next iPhone SE. Well, technically, I could just drop down to that, and then my monthly payments would be lower,
Hmm. Would
and
you
then
get the
just
iPhone SE?
but the problem with that would be it would depend on how much I owe is left by the time that gets announced because if I owe less than what the SE costs and then that would be another like 2 year So every time when you trade in, they want you to do that because every time you do that, it's another like 36 months. They break that down unless you like buy the device off. They're just pay off the watches, pay off the devices, and just
So wait, you're under a contract?
be out the door. Not really. I mean, you have device payments,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
so until those are paid off, if I were to just be like, I want to leave them, I can't exactly do that because you have the devices. And then because we have the watches, it's not as simple as like, I could be like, well, I'm just going to do the anytime upgrade thing and bump down to like some cheaper phone and
Yeah,
then pay that off and then, leave them
we
because the watch is tied in. So that's how they get you.
we have cricket, and like I think it's the best thing. Like when we switched, we had at first we had Verizon for many years, and then they started getting ridiculous in price. Like it was awful. And their service was like you weren't paying for what you got, at least to me anyway. So we ended up going with Cricket, unlimited everything, phones. We could keep the same phones and stuff. But we go through Apple and we do the trade-ins through Apple, and I think that's pretty cool that you can do that.
I did that a couple times.
I think it's pretty cool.
AT&T though basically has no like basically pretty much no service around us, so
I think that's kind of the same with Cricket. Well, they're based off AT&T. And I don't know if you've experienced this. When you're home, you have, I'm speaking for myself, but when I'm home, I have 1 to 2 bars. And then I go out to like the city and I have full bars. But in my area at home, where I live at home, I have like 2 bars. I'm like, what the hell? Now, service isn't, bad or anything. But our phones keep showing that 1 to 2 bars, and I'm just like, bruh, what?
3 bars, but speeds won't be that great.
Yeah, yeah,
I, and occasionally I'll have like full bars here, but then the speeds will be crap, and then I'll go out and about, and I'll
right.
get closer to a tower, but like there might be a building in between, so I might have like 1 or 2 bars, but have way better speeds
Oh wow,
because you're closer to the tower.
right, right. Kind of moving on. What are your thoughts on Apple Intelligence?
I really like the writing tools. Like some of the summary stuff is amazing.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
the summarization in Safari, like where you can click an article and then hit summarize, and
mm-hmm,
it just gives you a gist of it, is pretty cool. One of the things I would like to see them do, and I get that they would have a little bit more trouble with it,
mm-hmm.
but one of the things that Google is adding where it will like summarize a YouTube video for you, so you can have a YouTube video up and like launch uh, Gemini and say like, "What's this video about?" and it summarizes it.
Yeah,
But here's the thing. Apple could do it too. They would just have to scan the transcripts because that's how it works. It has to be a video that has either a transcript or like auto transcript.
mm-hmm,
Google's other advantage is because they own YouTube. They probably like you upload. Oh, we're just gonna pre-scan it, and it like goes into the system. And so when you have that video up, they can like grab it almost instantly. Actually, does some things that Google doesn't do yet. Like I can I could ask her to send a message to our group in WhatsApp and it will do it, or Facebook message or whatever. Like third party message support is there. Um,
right,
one of the newest things I saw, um, the app isn't available in the US right now, but apparently somebody found an actual Gemini app on the App Store. Well, and the head of their team of the Gemini team said that they were working on it would be out like in the coming weeks, and of course that was like 2 months ago, but that they've been working on a. So imagine you have Apple's assistant,
mm-hmm,
and then you set Gemini to launch with the action button, so you could have both, and then ChatGPT integration with Apple Intelligence. Um, I
right.
really like I really like this visual intelligence.
Yes.
is pretty slick. Like I can hold it up, I take a picture.
I'm kind of
I
mad that
took
I don't
I
have
took
that.
the picture of the mouse. I hit like search. It uses Google, which duh, because they're a search engine. And look, it
Could
tells
it,
me exactly what that mouse is. Like,
could that have come to the 15 lineup easily?
I mean, you can do it. Like, you could go into the Google search app and use Google Lens and do basically do
Well,
it. But
yeah, but nobody wants to use Google anymore with all these Apple Intelligence stuff.
I mean, even this I have a microphone here. I can, take a picture, search, and it's gonna pop up, and it tells me it's the Elgato Wave mic, and it's correct. Like some of that stuff is pretty cool. Um, Even like the ability where like if you're by a sign for a restaurant or something, you can hold it up and it will scan that. I mean, you've been able to do that for years where like if there's text in an image, you can take extract it.
Hmm.
But to me, what's pretty cool is so with the whole thing where you can hold like an iPhone to another iPhone and share contacts. But imagine somebody doesn't have an iPhone and they're an Android user, but maybe they have a note with all their information in it.
Hmm.
So you just open up visual intelligence and just take a picture of their information on their phone and save the contact information in that way. Or people that still use business cards.
Yeah.
Or you go to a restaurant and let's say, I mean,
What?
I understand enough Spanish, but what if I went to a Mexican restaurant and it's all in Spanish?
Yep.
I could hit it, translate. Whatever, Japanese restaurant, Chinese restaurant, whatever, just the ability to do that stuff and have it in a dedicated button. And people are like, well, Android has had where you could take photos with the power button. Well, guess what? Guess what else they did? They were the first one to make the power button not a power button anymore. Like,
Exactly.
it launched Google Assistant. Before that, Samsung
Dude.
launched Bixby. Like, and then they took the Bixby button away and made it the side button. So it's not even called a power button anymore. It's called a side button. And you have
Right.
to hold down like a combination of buttons to power it down. Here's one thing that's interesting that, Android has done this in quick settings for a little bit, but, right up there, if I were to hit that, I can shut down my iPhone without having hit any buttons in the control, like swipe down for your control panel. You can ask, I don't want to trigger everybody's devices, to shut down your phone or restart your phone, and it will do it. It will authenticate. It will want to use your face. And one of the things I like that they've done is added where you can now have all the separate controls for Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all that stuff
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
The other smart part about that is you can take out mobile data and like airplane mode from there because then like I don't have mine set up where my phone has to be unlocked to access the control panel because you can turn that off, which means then somebody can't like put your phone into airplane mode, disconnect from mobile data, and take off with your phone.
Hmm.
But being able to remove that from there means somebody has to unlock your device to essentially make it so you can't track it. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because otherwise, previously they could quite literally just like hit airplane mode and it's going to disconnect from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, mobile data, and all that, and Find My is going to be useless.
Mm.
The funny thing that Apple did was, if there's an iPhone running iOS 18 or later next to another iPhone, like in a police station,
Hmm.
it will put it into this like boot loop mode. So you know how like the police have a there's like the gray box where they could plug in an iPhone and hack it via USB.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And you can like go in there and you can say if my device hasn't been unlocked with my PIN in the last 2 hours, like don't let USB work.
yeah.
But
Hmm.
what if you have unlocked it? So what this does is it essentially force restarts the phone so that the police then would have to know your PIN
Ooh.
for the USB access to work. So if they haven't intercepted it the first time it reboots, it basically makes it nearly impossible.
Oh, okay.
And then
Yeah.
if they use the more difficult method,
Oh, dude.
which may take a couple hours, they get close to it again and it just reboots on them again. And it doesn't matter if it's in a Faraday cage because all it has to have done is gone by one. So like, let's say a police officers like have iPhone on them
Hmm.
and they take a suspect's phone, it can go, oh, trigger this,
Yeah.
and then it goes, oh, somebody's trying to block the signal and it's just going to keep doing it over and over and over again.
What
I
the?
mean, that and the repair mode is pretty cool where you can put your iPhone or your iPad or your Mac or whatever into like a repair mode. So basically it puts it into a certain where they can like access the serial number and certain things.
Yeah.
But essentially it's like in a certain mode where they can't access everything. I feel like focus modes are really undervalued.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
like the trick where
And
you can assign certain home screens.
hmm
So, for example, like let's say there's certain like there's kids games and kids apps that I want my son to use.
hmm
I can set up a focus mode that's his name, and when I enable it, essentially just make it so that's the only home screen.
Yep.
I mean, if he goes over into the app library or whatever, but I also use guided access is really nice, where you can make it so you can lock to just a certain app.
Hmm.
But with Apple Intelligence, I feel like writing tools is great. I really like the new email. Some people don't like the like categories or whatever. I love it because
Yeah.
as a creator, the one category basically is like filtered to all the businesses, all the companies that I work
Exactly.
with.
Dude, exactly.
And you can finally, you can set it so you have like all trash and
Hmm.
like all spam or what. I was using Spark because that was the only way to have like a unified inbox and trash and spam and all that.
Yeah, I'm over here with my iPhone 10R. I really hate that it doesn't have half the things that it should. I was just going to like type to Siri. It doesn't have that feature.
Well, so
I, I mean,
technically
technically it
you
does.
can do but you have to like set it to be all the time, which is annoying.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um,
I'm all set. I don't want to go too off topic, but I honestly think that they should have given more credit to iPhone 10R. I mean, I don't know if it's just this model, but I think it's really, really good. Surprisingly good on iOS 18. I haven't. Well, actually, I can't now that I think about it. I was gonna say I haven't put my SIM card in it, but I have eSIM now because of the iPhone 15 Pro. So I mean, I would rock with this seriously. I see why people still have older phones. People tell me all the time, ask me all the time, I should say, what iPhone model we're on, and I'm just like, oh, we're already on iPhone 16, and they're just like, what? I have the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 11, and I'm just like, bruh, get with the program. But
my
like,
parents, were my dad had an iPhone 7 and my mom had a 7 Plus, and then they upgraded to iPhone 11s when the 13 series came out,
oh
and they
wow,
just got them like renewed.
yeah,
Um, and they had those, and um, my so when the Series 4 Apple Watch came out, I gave my mom my Apple Watch Sport, which is,
oh
the Series 0 basically.
yeah, yeah,
And then she bought the Series 6, and then
I,
when the Series 7 came out, I gave my dad my Series 4,
mhm,
and he still has it, although he was taking off his sweatshirt and his watch band
yeah,
came loose and it landed on the
oh,
face and cracked it. What's
oh,
interesting is it still works.
what the
It's just
hell?
got cracked glass, but everything still works behind it. So it just cracked the glass, but not like the digitizer part. But it would be super
And when
expensive
you
to
get
replace the
glasses,
glass.
I could not.
So like it would be super expensive to replace the glass. So
Is he
I
still
think
using the watch? Even though
I
it's
don't.
cracked?
So my sister, my mom, me have all been trying to convince my dad. We're like, of all of the things that you will like spend money on certain things,
Mm-hmm.
like upgrade your watch. And I know he doesn't want to do it because if he upgrades his watch, he's gonna have to upgrade his phone because if you don't do both, then like there's some things where like in a few years you won't be able to upgrade the operating system on your watch because
Yeah,
your phone
yeah.
won't be upgradable or whatever.
My
Actually, probably
parents,
this like next year that will be the case because I think this will be the last year the iPhone 11s probably get updates.
my mom's still rocking the Series 4, and I'm just like, bruh,
And
no.
I told him like don't get an SE because it's basically the same watch you had. Like just go buy a Series 10. Like
Dude, I'm trying. I'm trying. They don't care. Like I wish. I mean, they hear me when I say, you know, it's good for security reasons to upgrade and stuff like that, and they let me do all that. But they don't care about the latest and greatest thing. Like as long as it's working, they don't care. My dad is very old school, and I have to do half of the things for him, which whatever, I don't care. But like you try to teach him something and he'll forget the next day.
the
So,
first time I saw my dad even buy like a new Apple product, like okay, so they had like the iBook back in the day, which I think they got new, but like he got like the G4 tower and the G5 tower like
yeah.
used in like his 2009 iMac. But the first time I saw him in a long time was when the M1 MacBook Air came out and he bought a 16 gig, 512 gig MacBook Air, 13 inch.
Oh
And he
wow.
still has it and loves it, but like they're both using my dad's using like an iPad Pro, like the 9.7 inch like original, and then my mom has like an iPad Air 2.
Oh wow.
I mean they got them for a heck of a deal. So my dad used to work for the Michigan State Police. I mean he was a civilian, but they had like an auction.
Oh, okay.
And so he bought them like through the state auction, so he paid like 150 bucks for them or whatever,
Holy
like
shit.
when they were like 2 years old.
Holy shit.
But they've had them since then, and they just read on them and stuff. But it's like thinking about it, it's like, okay, how often do you have to charge those things? Because if you think about it,
Seriously though.
like because the battery's not lasting long, you're
Seriously.
constantly charging them, which means, I mean, it doesn't use a lot of electricity. But if you think about it, like that's some electricity you're using.
Right?
And then your Wi-Fi and that's not very efficient, so your downloads are going to take longer. Just certain things.
Exactly.
I think that part of the reason my dad is holding off on upgrading his iPhone is like he's gonna upgrade everything when he does it. And I told him what he should do. I told him he should get that they should pick up. They should both. They're not gonna care about ProMotion or like all the cameras or anything.
Right.
So I think they both should get 16 pluses
Hmm.
and then grab like a couple iPad minis or um my suggestion was look at the iPad Air, or if you can find like an 11-inch M1 iPad Pro on a super deal, but like the new Airs,
Hmm.
the pricing on that, like you're not if you're looking at storage, you're gonna pay like $50 more than an iPad Mini for the same amount of storage.
Right.
Like just yeah, you're gonna have to spend like a good coin of money, but like just do it. My dad retired a few years ago. They're both my dad just turned 73 on October 19th. My mom will be 72 in December. They're not wealthy, but they're not hurting for money. I could,
Right.
when my
Right.
grandma passed away, she had saved aside, so I know that my mom got some from that. See, if it was up to her, I'm pretty sure they would. But my dad just doesn't like to,
My dad,
he likes to spend money on other people.
yeah, yeah. My
See,
dad's
what's funny to me is I actually don't like holidays are my birthday and Christmas are
hmm
like my least favorite time of the year. Almost every time, with the exception of like one time that I can remember. My more recent birthday was okay, and one of my Christmases when I was like 12 years old, my parents bought me a guitar. It's actually right over here. But apart from that, it was always like I wanted certain things, and then it was like, and it wasn't asking for anything ridiculous, but then I would get like socks and underwear, like I'm an old man, and pajamas and stuff. So then I started asking, or I just asked for money, or I'd be like, can I get this more expensive thing? And you just count it as my Christmas and birthday present because my birthday is, 2.5 months after Christmas, basically. So I don't know. I prefer like surprising other people and stuff like that. Like so, it's more intriguing to me. So sometimes, usually, if there's things that I get, it's like I bought it for myself, or I've gotten it already at different other times of the year, or last year and the year before was when I basically the One 12 this year and the One 11 last year were like my birthday presents to myself because they launched right around my birthday. Since my parents, their devices they have that they're using, they're like in okay condition,
Yeah.
so they could still keep. They're not gonna sell them for anything or trade them in for like anything really, but they could keep them still and have like, oh, I'm gonna use it to play music, or like when my parents go up north and they have stuff they want to watch on TV, like they could download stuff on Netflix. Or they're going to, whatever, download stuff on Apple TV. Like they could use their iPhones just to literally download stuff to
Hmm.
play, like connect up to the TV and play, and then not have like their phone actually connected up or whatever.
Right.
Or whatever, it throws me off because then they'll like spend money on other things that don't make any sense to me. Like
Oh my.
they had a trailer and they got a new trailer, which is actually a year older than their other trailer, but it's 5 feet longer and the layout is
Oh
better.
shit.
But like so
Yeah, like
they
that.
paid the difference on that plus the taxes and stuff, and I'm like they could have literally upgraded all of their devices for like the same amount they did that and stuff. It's weird. Old people,
Man.
that our parents' generation is just weird.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Even though my mom is, she's more on my side. Like she'll let me talk about all this technology and try to explain to her. I don't know if she understands what I'm trying to say, but she hears me out. She agrees with a lot of the stuff. Um, and when I tell her like, you're gonna need an upgrade soon, like she'll hesitate a little bit, but then she'll go for it. Um, Actually, I don't know if you remember when I had the Apple Watch SE. That was originally for her. Um, I bought that on Mother's Day weekend, and she used it. She was fine with it. But then, like me, we had big fingers, small screen, and she was just like, "All right, this is annoying. This is a little too small for me." Trying to respond to people with the one tap answers or whatever. So we ended up switching watches. I got the SE. She got my Series 4 because it was bigger. She still has a Series 4. And now I'm telling her, hey, this is not getting software upgrades anymore. It's just going to get slower and slower over time. And literally, she was like, well, when it blows up on my wrist, then we'll talk. I'm like, you're not going to have a wrist anymore. Like, what? um, and it's funny because now, whatever device I get, if I get a new device, my older one will go to them. And that's been a thing for a couple of years now. So much so you were talking about the original Apple Watch Sport. I had that one, and bro, I gave it to my mom when I got the Series 4. And do you know that like a couple months after I gave it to her, she had one of those screen protectors, those clear screen protectors on it. And over time they get yellowish and dirty. So one time I went to go clean it. Do you know the whole fucking screen popped off the watch? And I'm like, is this proof enough that you need a new watch? So then I get the new device as usual, and my old one gets goes to her. But it's just so funny that it's just like, all my old devices are going to them. And, my dad still has a Series 12, the iPhone 12. Pro. And now he wants a new device, but my mom's already looking at me like, "You're gonna get the new device, and he's gonna get your old phone." I can already see this happen. And I'm like, I'm not even saying anything. I'm not gonna lie. I love the iPhone 15 Pro that I have. I'm not a fan of the 16 Pro because of the camera button. Maybe it's because I haven't used it and experienced things with it, but I'm just not a fan. An extra button, I think, is going to get in the way. I'd rather get another iPhone 15 Pro.
For me, the battery life is something that's been a significant upgrade.
That's what I hear too. That's what I hear
And
too.
even though like the main
Well,
camera and the telephoto basically didn't change, the image signal processor is something. So like I noticed videos and photos are clearer, and even using like continuity camera, it like the lighting looks better, everything looks just cleaner. There's something with the processing. Like I have the same version of iOS on both of the devices,
right,
and I can take photos side by side, and just how it processes in the post processing. There's something about that. Like when people are like, well, Apple doesn't upgrade their camera sensors very often. It's like, okay, but what about Google with the Pixel, where like literally they were using the same from like the Pixel 2 to the Pixel basically 7?
right. This is another reason why I want to keep my iPhone 15 Pro because of all these cases that have been sent out to me. Um,
Oh, that reminds me. Let me look around. I might have some 15 Pro cases.
ooh,
Um, and we can talk about it. Like I can figure see how much it would cost, and if you pay shipping, I'll send them to you.
okay, cool.
I'll just have to look and see because I'm trying to think of if I kept, because I think I only sent one case when I sold that.
Oh, okay.
So I should have a few around. I think I still
I
have
just have
like
one
both the
question.
both the mouse cases,
Yep.
or I no, the Anki uh Onyx Rinky Onyx cases.
Yeah, I have
I
one of those. I showed you.
Um,
You know what I did? Hey, you know what I did to it? I kind I kind of did surgery on it. Um,
I have the one with MagSafe and one without.
this one was without. Okay, I put my wallet on it, and it just fell out of my hand. But thank God I had my hand on it because it would have fallen right to the ground. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what this came with, but I had it in the drawer, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Put it on here, and here, MagSafe case.
I've thought about doing that, but my thing is like, how do you make sure it's aligned like before the adhesive hits and it doesn't get misaligned?
Yeah, true.
That and since it's just the ring, it doesn't have the line below, so it
Yeah.
like with wallets and certain things, it can
Mhm.
be with chargers. I don't really worry about it because they're round, most of them, so it's not going to hit that part of it anyways. But some of them are like some of them still have the like some of the car ones in particular will still have that the bottom lineup thing. But I kind of wondered why Apple went with a circle. But like my kickstand here that I have from Banks, the magnetic ring and kickstand thing, and it's also like the hand holder. I like how I can just rotate it along the magnet because I was thinking, if they would have made it a square,
Mhm.
that would have meant like it would line up perfectly in either orientation and you couldn't misalign it.
Right.
But at the same time, then it's like you can't like rotate from one orientation to the other like you can with a circle. You'd have to like take it off and then put it back on.
Yeah.
Although the head of the what it's attached to could rotate and then it wouldn't matter. And that's what a lot of them do anyways, you know.
Right.
But I don't know. Some of the topics you had in the notes here. One of the things that was in here talking about, um, like GM and the whole like wanting to develop their
I was
own.
gonna ask you about that.
I kind of get it, but at the same time, are you kidding me? You're going to try to compete with Apple, who's been making their own hardware and software for years, and say, well, we're doing it because of this and that. And it's like, okay, I understand. That just seems like a fault in your own hardware design. Like you could make it,
Right.
you could have made it like where just one area of the whole panel is CarPlay supported and the rest is still the other.
Yeah.
What they're saying is, oh, we've made our whole dash the infotainment system, so it would take over the whole thing. So you'd have to like go into CarPlay and then go out of it to do certain things.
Hmm.
That's a hardware problem. You could, or a
Exactly.
solution where you release like a firmware update to the car and it makes it
Exactly.
so just like one area of it is CarPlay,
Hmm.
and then it doesn't interfere with like um any of
I
your
think
other controls.
I think we need to tag GM on X and stuff with this clip, and they need to hear us because honestly, what are we like? Ugh. I feel like we're going back. Like I feel like we're going back in time in so many freaking ways, and I hate it.
The
I hate
other
it.
reason the GM wants to do that is because then they can get in bed with like Sirius XM and some of the companies and get kickbacks for basically they can lock out where like if it's like, oh, all these apps can play music with CarPlay and podcasts and radio stuff.
Bruh.
GM could be like, well, if you buy our car, you have to use this.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, if you buy our car, you have to use this, which means people are going to say, well, we're going to go to any other company that supports CarPlay or Android Auto. We're not
Exactly.
going to go to GM. We're not going to
Exactly.
go to Ford. Even
Exactly.
Tesla. Even
Because
Tesla upgraded their stuff to add like
dude.
because Elon
Exactly.
was like, "Oh, we're going to lose out
Dude,
on
I
people
saw that.
who."
Dude, I saw that and I'm just like, what? Like, CarPlay is the most safest thing
Way to
ever.
alienate all your customers.
Exactly. And I'm like, and I'm over here, like, my dad is the only one that has an older truck that doesn't have that. Which, by the way, I might fix if he's still planning to keep the truck for a little bit. I should have done it a couple years ago, but that's besides the point. Um, but still, like, what are we doing? Trying to go back in time so people can be unsafe? A lot of people love GM. And I mean, it's been a great company for many, many years. But going down this route, a lot of this generation is not going to like that. And I mean, we're two of us are saying that, you know? So it's just like, what the hell?
And when I read the article, I was like, "Okay, tell me you're kicking out the technology, but tell me you also have never used it." Because they're
Exactly.
trying to say that like, oh, CarPlay is more confusing to use or it's not safe. It's like literally you
But
set it up once and you get in your car and most of them have wireless. You don't have to touch anything. It's literally connects.
this is unsafe.
It literally connects in your pocket. You don't have to like put it on a hub or plug it in unless like
And the
the
sad
only ones
part,
that even even the we got like this 7 or 8 inch screen that you mount on your dash from Walmart, right? That has CarPlay and Android Auto for like it was like 100 or 100 and maybe it was 120 or 130, something like that. It wasn't super expensive. And it came with like this microphone you can clip up on your visor and it came with like the external GPS thing and it could do wireless, or you can plug in a USB cable like USB A, USB C to A, and
mhm,
use Android or Lightning and use CarPlay or Android Auto that way. Um, we have it set up where it has an FM transmitter, so it transmits to like 106.1 and
mhm.
goes through our car radio because our car radios, they when we got it, the person who put the previous radio in never connected the antenna up, so like none of the stations come in. But that one we know won't even attempt to come in, so you just get in the car. And the only annoying thing is you have to like go in, hit settings, and turn the FM transmission thing back on. It like automatically turns off every time or whatever. But
Yeah,
like the solution to that would be if I wanted to, I could pop out the radio that's in there and plug in a 3.5 millimeter cable into the back of it and plug it into this thing and then never have to do that.
yeah.
Or it can do Bluetooth
Hmm.
like to it. So if you don't, so like if you're now don't want to use CarPlay or whatever, but you
Hmm.
want to use the audio. So like, for example, I could have a portable monitor mounted in the back, have like my phone connected into it, and then just do Bluetooth from my iPhone out through it, and then have the audio coming through the speakers. So like it has all of these things. You can use it as a GPS on its own.
Yep.
Like you don't have to go into CarPlay or Android Auto. You can do all these other things too, and it doesn't have
Right.
to cost you any monies. And if you have an older vehicle, you don't have to like buy a new vehicle because I want to get Android Auto or CarPlay, so I got to buy a new car. Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, you could have a separate one set up for like get other people that drive your vehicle. Maybe you don't want to have to like go in and like add their vehicle to yours. You could have this as like I don't know, maybe there's a family. The parents have their iPhone set to the main one, and they have something like this for their kids.
Right.
The only thing I wish is like that you could get it to play like YouTube and Netflix and stuff. And I get why they don't want to, but like if you had one of those and you have it like for like the passenger or like your kid can see through the center to it, it'd be really cool to allow that to work.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree. I mean, you gotta be stupid if you're driving and watching a video, looking at the screen.
I
You know.
mean, most of the third party ones have some sort of integration that allows that
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
That's what's funny to me, where like CarPlay and Android Auto don't have it natively,
Hmm.
and GM's trying to say that theirs would be safer, where I know for a fact that it won't be.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
it might disconnect, and then somebody's fumbling around because they were on a phone call, like wirelessly in their pocket, and now they're trying to like grab their phone out of the pocket and talk, breaking the law, doing all sorts of things because it disconnected.
yeah. We got two more articles that I want to cover.
Oh, the smart home stuff.
Yes, the smart home stuff in the Mac Mini. So, uh, Mac Mini just came out. What are your thoughts, Michael?
I'm
Uh,
streaming from it, so
oh, that's right. You got it. I forgot
base
about
model.
that. Okay.
Yeah, so
Experiences, thoughts. Give it to us.
I I had the M1 MacBook Air 13 inch. I've had the M2 15 inch.
Hmm.
I also had a M1 Pro 14 inch. I've had the M3 Pro 14 inch. Funny enough, this is the first Mac I've had where I've had no issues streaming on it.
Oh, wow.
There was something weird with like I don't know what it was, if it was like the processing with the previous chips or what, but like I had to set up my uh almost 7-year old desktop PC that I built to be able to like live stream because for some reason, and maybe it was just Mac OS for a while, but I'm running the newest beta on there and I don't understand. I don't think that would have had anything to do it, but I was having like things would crash, it'd freeze, all sorts of weird stuff. This been simple. I mean, I had to install. I'm using Microsoft Edge because for some reason none of these like we're using Riverside and StreamYard and all these require that you have like a Chrome based browser. Like it won't run uh,
Yeah.
like in Safari, so you have to have like Chrome or Firefox or Edge or Brave or Opera or any of the other browsers. It makes no sense to me because the weird thing with that is I can join a stream on my iPhone or iPad in Safari on my iPhone and iPad for a lot of these, but you can't do that on a Mac. Makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really weird. Wait, what?
Maybe it's because they know that on a computer people will install a third-party browser, but on like a phone they might just use what's built in, and there's a lot of people that use iPhones and iPads, so they're just going to use what's the native on. And as far as like access to the camera and the microphone and some of that stuff, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
Um, but that just annoys me.
What are your thoughts on the whole smart home Apple's planning? Dude.
I mean, I've predicted it for years. I mean,
Yeah.
they added so like I have Eufy brand
Mm-hmm.
um cameras
Mm-hmm.
and I got it originally to use as like a nanny cam or like a baby cam or whatever. In my son's
Oh
room, I
yeah.
got one, and then two pack was cheaper, so we just had another one for like the general other area of the apartment, and I can move it around and it will cover like basically 360 degrees, so you can like remotely access it and do that. But it
Oh,
also
that's
supports
awesome.
HomeKit,
Yeah.
and they want you to pay $6.99 a month to get like recording per camera.
Oh God.
Well, with Apple, if you have iCloud, and it used to be you had to have the 2 terabyte plan. Now I think it's just the maybe 200 gig or higher or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, actually it might still require the 2 terabyte plan for multiple cameras. I think the 200 gig one does up to 5 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, with the certain plans, if you have a HomeKit enabled camera, it will record and it doesn't count towards your cloud storage.
Right.
And you can go back like by the minute up to 30 days, I think it is. So I think it's brilliant. And if Apple were to design their own, the other thing I think they need to bring Airport back, like Airport Extreme,
Yeah.
um, and bring and for people listening, that was their router that they made. They were actually technically, well, Apple was the first company to make a commercially like publicly available Wi-Fi router.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Back in 1999 with the airport. And it was 802.11b. So 802.11a was out, but that was mostly like I think Linksys maybe and maybe like Belkin
Mm-hmm.
made, and but that was like for businesses,
Right.
and they were super expensive, so it wasn't like, oh, just any person was gonna buy this.
Right.
Um, and so Apple then so that was 1998. So like in 1999 they did that, and then in 2000, like there were multiple companies out there, but Apple still had the best. And what's interesting is they were using like some pretty intelligent stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, we would call it AI today, where like the router would navigate the channels and
Oh
like
wow.
understand like switching so things didn't interfere. It actually caused some problems originally.
Yeah.
Belkin routers had an issue where you had to um, like turn off. You had to instead of WPA, like the wireless protection, whatever, you had to turn it back to WEP, which is like a lower quality security, in order to use a Mac with like a Belkin router. But
Mm-hmm.
if you use the Airport or the Airport Extreme, it just worked.
Right. Right.
And you could hook up a printer and do like AirPrint with that. Um, you could hook up um, a hard drive using, I think it was FireWire, and you could you could connect it
Mm-hmm.
and then access it over the network from like any Mac.
Oh wow.
I would love to see is them do an updated version,
Mm-hmm.
put some USB ports on it, make it like USB-C or Thunderbolt ports on it, make it where you connect up a drive to it, and you can access them not only anywhere on your network, but connect it to your iCloud account and let it basically act as like an offline iCloud server for you. So you could say, "Oh, I'm gonna back up to iCloud, but also I have an 8 terabyte drive at home. I want my iCloud to sync to that, and Maybe Apple says, you know what, this is available only on certain plans, and you pay $5 more a month to us to like route that. And people would do. I'd do. I'd pay the $15 a month instead of 9.99 to be able to be like, oh, all my photos and videos I take
Mm,
aren't just in iCloud, but they're on there. And if I delete them from iCloud, they're also on the physical. So the advantage with that as a creator, whenever I take video and they get backed up to iCloud, I then go to iCloud and delete them because 200 gigs may seem like a lot, but not when every video is like, well, the video itself might be 6, 10, 15 gigs, and then you edit it and you have that again. So somewhere from like 12 to 30 gigs for every video from like with the original and the edited. Usually I delete the original after I edit it, but still like those automatically back up to the cloud. So
yeah.
like within literally in a month, if I didn't delete, I had 1 month I would have completely used up my 2 terabytes of storage.
Wow. Wow.
Potentially just thumbnails. I take those and then I and stuff.
Yeah.
Some videos I have are only living on YouTube because I like didn't save them anywhere else. I
Damn.
did, but then I
What?
deleted them. Like some of the older ones are, I'm like, I don't care if they disappear.
Do you still have like all the videos that you have on YouTube? Do you save them or do you delete them after you are done?
Almost all of them are saved somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Some of the older ones may be gone. I really, and I'm thinking about. I think it's a 2010. It might be a 2011 Mac Mini, um, that I upgraded to 16 gigs of RAM, and I pulled the hard drive out of it and put a solid state drive in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's running like Mac OS Catalina or something, I
Oh
think, which
God.
is like 10. Was that 10.10 or whatever, 10.5, whatever it is. Anyways, but I kind of thinking. And I have an old LaCie drive. It's like a
Hmm.
6 terabyte, and I partitioned it to three 2 terabyte storage.
Hmm.
But I don't even know if I could access it anymore with Apple going to APFS because I think that is NTFS. So I don't know. I could probably access it on that Mac Mini, but what I'm thinking about is doing that, booting it up, and then I have a 1 terabyte like Samsung 860 Evo. It's an NVMe drive. I need to get an enclosure for, and just pulling anything off from that onto that.
Mm.
But what I was also then thinking is, the Wi-Fi for that's not going to be super fast. I think Ethernet for that, I don't even know. I think that was probably 10100. I don't even think they had gigabit Ethernet for it. But
Oh, damn.
the Wi-Fi might be okay. I'd have to check the speeds of that and like the speeds of like the ports on it. But they
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to be super fast, but setting that up, connecting external storage to it, and create setting it up as local storage,
Hmm.
and then it could also be connected, accessible to any device that sign into that same account, like through files or whatever.
Hmm.
Because what would be really cool is to basically use it as like a NAS storage. I mean, I have my desktop PC I built that I thought about turning that into it too.
Hmm.
I don't know how well it would work with Mac, but like if I could do that with that Mac Mini and like plug in a couple drives and
Yeah.
then tell them to mirror and then just I could set one as like the target drive for all that stuff. And then with Time Machine, I could tell it to back up that drive and literally basically I would have a mirror of each other and that would be the only thing it would be used for. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be super fast. I mean, even if it's like older USB 2 speeds,
Hmm.
it might take a while for videos, but for like photos and stuff, it'd be pretty quick. For videos, I'm not really worried about it. I just back those up to. I have a couple external SSDs
Right.
that I use. I want to get another one. Those are getting a lot cheaper now.
Mm.
But like that's. And then I saw a video the other day that was showing running Mac OS off from external storage.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's not going to be super fast, but like with if I could get a Thunderbolt one, it might be about as fast as the internal storage. But I thought about that
Yeah.
too. And then like if when I'm edit, I could, and then when editing videos, um, being able to do that, and then everything that's saved, I don't have to worry about like saving it to external because it would already be saving itself to it. Like
Yeah.
that'd be a good test. And then if it's super slow, I just like make sure it's on internal storage, wipe the drive off, and just save it to internal.
Right.
I installed Parallels today and
Oh,
Windows 11 on it and was messing with that, and it's super quick.
that's
The thing
awesome.
that was crazy with this M4 Mac Mini is I had it in the other room and I brought it in my office. I plugged it in. I connected the USB-C cable to the monitor. I hit the power button on the bottom of it. I turned on my monitor. By the time I turned on my monitor, macOS was already booted up in it and on my home screen.
Oh, wow.
Like in the time it took me like the 2 seconds to turn on the monitor, it was already booted in, and I was like, uh,
Damn.
because I have it set up to auto sign in.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep.
Because I used and then I have Duet to be a login app, so I can plug in one of my iPads
Oh, cool.
without having to plug in another monitor and
Yep.
basically use it anywhere like that. Um, so it's pretty nice. My next thing is to see about figure out if a way, and if anybody knows, I don't know. I know you can through the MIDI utility on Mac OS, you can have like multiple headphones connected
Hmm.
via Bluetooth. But if there would be a way that I could have, let's say, a two monitors and a browser open on one and a browser open on the other, and like YouTube playing on one for a video for me and like another YouTube video on another, and
Hmm.
have two separate headphones connected, and have like the audio for the one browse like one source out to the one and one to the other would be pretty sweet.
Oh,
Because my
yeah.
thought was portable monitors in the back of the car with the Mac Mini,
Oh, okay.
and then I could like AirPlay from my iPhone to one screen and then or like have video just two separate or hotspot or whatever and have
Gotcha.
like my son could be watching a video on one and I could be on the other, like figuring out if that's possible. I just wonder if it's possible to have two
Right.
different audio sources playing at the same time to two different Bluetooth. I know it's possible to have one play to two different,
Hmm.
but I don't know if you can isolate it without doing like mono, where you're like, oh, everything from this browser goes to the left, from this browser goes to the right, but then you'd have literally one, ear for each. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there might be a hardware for it, like you do Bluetooth to one and then like you plug a adapter, like just plug wired into 3.5 millimeter like I am right now to the other, and it allows it. I don't know.
Hmm.
I couldn't find a YouTube video, and I couldn't even find a. I googled it and could figure it out. So
Oh, God.
maybe somewhere out there somebody knows.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you for joining me tonight.
No problem.
It
Anytime.
was awesome having you. I know that that I didn't upload this on Saturday, so hopefully next week, well, you know, when I upload this coming Saturday, it'll be good. Um, hopefully things
Sounds like a name of a country song.
hopefully things will still be relevant.
Should
I
be.
think things are really moving along fast in the tech world. Michael, where can people find you?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Almost everywhere.
That that
So
that sounds a little scary.
at Michael Pepper
Everywhere.
T, the M, the P, and the T are capitalized on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I'm on Threads, Instagram, YouTube. It's all Michael Pepper Tech. I also have
Oh, you're definitely on YouTube.
I also have Michael Pepper Photography on all three of those.
Oh,
So if you want to like just photo stuff that's not always tech related, like food pics, nature pics, buildings, skylines, all sorts of different things,
bro, you need to launch.
that's where I post to there.
Bro, you need to launch a photography channel. I
I
think.
tried. It's just I can't do more than one channel. It's just too much. I mean, I had a channel called Defining Apple where it was literally going to be an Apple
Yes, I remember
dedicated
that.
page, but it was also going to be like the history of it
Hmm.
and stuff. Um,
I remember that.
and somebody else kind of stole my idea. So
All right, guys. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in to Michael Pepper's channel. I'll have a link down in the description down below. Uh, Don't forget to subscribe to him and all that YouTube good stuff. Tune in next week. We'll have more guests, more fun with tech news. Again, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace and love.